Hi everyone, I'm Sil and this is Slow Easy English. First I'd like to start by saying I'm sorry for taking such a long time to do part 3. I believe I did part 2 in August of last year, and finally here we are again with part 3 of the best way to learn English. Okay, so in the last video I talked about the importance of pronunciation, and it's something that a lot of students don't really pay enough attention to, and it's really important to make sure that you can understand the pronunciation of native speakers, and also that you can pronounce well enough for them to understand you. You don't need a perfect accent, but having a good accent will help you communicate much better. So now that you understand the importance of pronunciation, we can talk about what everybody already knows is very important for learning English, and one of those things is grammar. Of course, the other is vocabulary, and I will do another video for that. But today, I'd like to talk about the best way to learn grammar. Now, if you are a beginner, I mean a very early beginner, someone who can't speak any English and doesn't know any words, then for those people, buy a textbook. That's the best way to start, is to buy a textbook that is written in your own language, and then you can understand the explanations about the grammar in English. So if you're an absolute beginner, buy a textbook. But of course, you are watching this video, and if you are watching this video and you can understand it, then you are not a beginner. You already have a good understanding of basic English grammar. You already have a basic vocabulary. So once you pass that level of understanding basic grammar, and if you have a few hundred or maybe a couple of thousand basic words in your vocabulary, then what should you do? Here I'm going to tell you not what you should do, but how you should think. Remember one thing, this is very important. You should always keep in mind, always think that grammar rules are not really rules, but they are simply guidelines. Okay, so rules never really explain 100% of the English we use every day. So they are only guidelines, and you should think of it that way, because if you think of it too strictly, if you think of it as rules, then you may get stuck thinking one thing when you should be more flexible. You should allow your mind to accept other possibilities. And the reason that I say you should think of these grammar rules not as rules but as guidelines is because there are too many exceptions. very, 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 very often a grammar rule doesn't explain all of the English that you hear and that you say every day. Let me give you an example. For example, whom did you call? So many textbooks will tell you that this is the correct way to ask a question. You do not say, who did you call? But you say, whom did you call? The truth is that native speakers, at least in North America, really don't speak this way. In fact, I can't think of one person, not even one person, that actually uses this in everyday English. Occasionally, someone might use it, I might use it, but that's not really because it's natural for me. It's sometimes I use it just for effect, just to be a little bit funny. It's not super funny, but it's for effect. And this is not really the way native speakers normally ask the question. So in this case, a clear rule that many people learned in high school or in junior high school, and yet very, 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 very few people actually speak this way. Why? Because nobody sees a need for it. It doesn't create any problems in communication or anything like that. So sometimes these rules that you read about in a textbook, they don't really catch on, or they fall out of fashion, or they just stop being used. And then in a few years' time, someday, when the textbooks and the grammar teachers catch up, they will change the textbooks and they will accept who did you call as correct also. For now, you will have some people who say this is the only correct way, but the truth is that if everyone is saying who did you call, and everybody says that, everybody understands it, everybody accepts it as normal and natural, then really that is correct. Again, there's correct when you're talking about everybody using it, and then there's correct as it applies to a textbook, or maybe a grammar teacher might say, no, it's not correct. So that's one example of an exception. Another, maybe more difficult example is look at these three sentences. I will go out, I am going to go out, and I'm going out. Now, we use all three forms when we're talking about the future. So I can say, I will go out, I am going to go out, and I'm going out. Now, the difficult thing here for you as a student is if you listen to it, if you hear someone say it, then you understand that that person is talking about something in the future. So that's easy. But as a student, what's difficult maybe is trying to decide which one is the best, most natural way to say what you want to say. And how do you decide that? Well, there are some basic rules. Again, I don't like the word rules because rules to me sound strict, and I don't think that many grammar rules really describe English well enough to be that strict. Think of it as a guideline. So there are guidelines that will tell you that If it's something that you've already planned, then you can say, I am going to go out. If it's something that you are deciding now, you can say, I will go out. And if, again, I'm going out is also something planned. If you look on the internet or in a grammar book, you can get more detailed explanations. This video is not to teach you this grammar, but if you look on the internet or if you look in a textbook, you can get a more detailed explanation. However, the problem is that every explanation I have seen, and I've seen a few in textbooks and on the internet, none of them explain the rule completely. I can always think of an exception to the rules that I see in textbooks and on the internet. So because of that, there's always an exception, then those rules don't really help you decide every time you want to use it. It will help you 90% of the time, but it will not help you 100% of the time. So remember that and think about these rules that you study in a textbook. Don't think of them as hard and fast, but think of them as flexible guidelines. Okay? And here's the interesting thing about that is that sometimes rules can't be explained or can't be explained in words. But there is a deep rule in your brain, or a rule deep in your brain. There's, because as a native speaker, I'm a native speaker of English, and if I am listening to someone or if I'm talking with someone, and if they say, I will go out, or I am going to go out, or I'm going out, if they say it in an unnatural way, I feel immediately, oh, that's not natural. It doesn't sound right. And I, as a native speaker, will always use these correctly, depending on the situation and how I feel. So if I always use it correctly, and if I can listen to a student speaking and say, oh, that's not natural, we wouldn't use it in this situation. And sometimes a student will ask me, why not? It follows the rules. So, yeah, it follows the rules. The rules that you read are not complete. They never are. So if it follows the rules in the textbook, or if it follows the rules on the internet, why is it sometimes not natural? Well, the problem with that is there is a rule, but maybe no one has analyzed it enough to understand completely 100% why that doesn't sound natural. So it could be, it's possible that there is a way to explain it if you analyze it enough. If you're a linguist, if you study languages or language, and if you analyze the use of I will, I am going to, and I'm whatever, maybe you can discover a rule, but it would take a long time and a lot of analysis, a lot of analyzing the language. And then for you as a student to try to remember all these tiny little exceptions and details in order to use it, it's not efficient. It's not a good way of learning a language. It's just not. So, what can you do as a student? Well, remember that grammar rules are almost never 100%. So just think of it as a guideline. And then when you hear somebody using I will go out, or I am going. When you hear someone using this form, your mind subconsciously, so subconsciously means without thinking about it, but subconsciously, your mind will, after many, 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 many repetitions, your mind will start to understand the rule. Again, you may not be able to explain it. You may not consciously understand it. But after enough time and after enough repetitions, you will start to understand it subconsciously. And you may reach a level someday where you can use it almost perfectly, or maybe perfectly. So the key here is try to remember the grammar. Remember that they are guidelines, not rules, and think of it as patterns. Okay, think of grammar as patterns. So you can use the basic pattern and then replace one word, and it has the same meaning. Well, sorry, not the same meaning because you changed the word. So it's the same pattern. So if you're talking about the future, I will go out, I will eat, I will dance, I will write, I will listen. You can replace this word with anything, go out, it's two words, one term. You can replace this term with anything else, and you will have the future of an action. So you can remember the patterns, and then you can get a basic understanding by reading the guidelines. Okay, you'll get a basic understanding, but you will not have a complete understanding. That's okay, because, and this is the key point here that, again, I will talk about this in another video, but one of the key points here is real learning comes with input. Okay, so this is to help you when you're learning grammar from a textbook. And when you hear someone speaking, you can take that, what they've said, and look at the pattern, and you know that you can replace one word and keep the rest the same to change the meaning just for that one thing. So this will help you when you're learning the grammar, and this will help you to change your thinking a little bit. Don't think about the rules too much, because if you think about the rules too much, you will not learn to use English very well. And don't worry about it. That's okay. Even if you don't understand the rule perfectly, and I don't mean the textbook rule, I mean the deep subconscious rule. If you don't understand how to use it perfectly, that's okay. Because you will learn. Because real learning comes with input. You have to read, you have to listen, you have to watch movies, you have to listen to music. Music really doesn't help you that much, but it can help you a little bit. But movies, TV, magazines, newspapers, the internet, of course, my Slow Easy English News videos. Don't forget those. Those will help you a lot because I speak slowly. But anyway, real learning, subconscious learning, and that's how we speak. We don't really think about the words we choose that much. We feel something, we want to express it, and it comes out very quickly, very naturally, and mostly subconsciously. And that comes with a lot of input. I will talk about this again in the future in another video, but for now, try to concentrate on these points and try to change your learning style to this, and you will later, maybe not immediately, but in the future, this will help you learn English grammar much, much better. So, I think my time is up. So, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you liked it, please click the like button. And if you are not subscribed already to my channel, please click the subscribe button and come back and watch my future videos. Also, if you know anyone else who studies English and would like to learn, and maybe they would benefit from my videos, please feel free to share my videos on your Facebook or on Twitter or anything you like. So that's it for today, and I will talk to you again soon in part 4, which will be vocabulary. Soon. Very soon, I hope. Anyway, it will be less than 1 year, I guarantee that. Probably a week or 2. So, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.